Breaking news today. The media is in a frenzy as President Trump appoints an outsider to revamp the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The controversy seems to center not just on qualifications, but also on who controls the economic narrative. Stay with us for more updates.
Hello, and welcome to That News Show, where we discuss the latest facts, fakes, and hypocrisy as reported by the legacy media. Let's roll the tape.
MSNBC reports an economic expert challenging Trump over a controversial job appointment. The self-proclaimed economic elite are in a frenzy because President Trump has nominated an outsider to head the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This network, which previously supported disastrous trade deals and open borders, now insists that only their approved experts are qualified to count jobs. It's worth questioning whose interests these experts have truly served. For decades, both political parties have outsourced American jobs to China, devastated our towns, and profited from these actions. Perhaps it's time for someone not tied to the globalist agenda to revitalize the system. If this disrupts the status quo in Washington and on Wall Street, perhaps that's exactly what's needed. Let's do this!
Now, in this case, It might mean he gets the wrong cholesterol drugs, but when it comes to the economy, it means that the folks at the Fed are driving blind. It means that businesses don't actually know which parts of the country are booming and which are in recession. It means job seekers don't know what occupations to join, and on and on and on it goes. It is just...
When the Bureau of Labor Statistics loses its way, the repercussions are felt across the economy. Businesses in sectors like manufacturing and retail are left to make decisions without clear data, unsure if their region is improving or declining. Job seekers struggle to identify stable industries, and the Federal Reserve, responsible for maintaining price stability and employment, operates without crucial information. Recent inflation trends exemplify this issue, with the annual rate climbing for the third consecutive month to nearly 3%, and core inflation rising even faster without dependable data. Interpreting these figures becomes challenging for those analyzing the economic landscape. The politicization of these agencies poses significant risks. The previous administration allowed bureaucratic and global pressures to influence economic policy, leading to offshoring, stagnant wages, and a weakened middle class. The current resistance against entrenched interests is a necessary step toward reclaiming economic sovereignty. Mainstream media, particularly outlets like MSNBC, often defend the status quo rather than recognizing the need for reform. Their criticism of nominees who question outdated methods underscores a resistance to disrupting the comfortable nexus between technocrats and global capital. The controversy isn't just about the new nominees' lack of traditional qualifications, but about the long-standing deviation of these agencies from their primary mission. For years, both political parties, particularly the Democrats, have allowed these bodies to stray, turning them into instruments for advancing international agendas and concealing the shortcomings of bipartisan economic policies. The Heritage Foundation's preference for quarterly data and skepticism toward monthly jobs reports may seem unconventional, but it represents a valid critique of bureaucratic complacency and overemphasis on credentials. If data integrity is compromised, so is the foundation of economic decision-making. The Federal Reserve's models, small business decisions, and the career choices of Americans all rely on accurate statistics. When political interference supplants statistical independence, the impact extends beyond boardrooms to every household grappling with inflation and job insecurity. The previous administration's legacy of regulatory excess and global entanglements has left the nation susceptible to economic disruptions, and the ongoing debate over data reliability signals a deeper institutional decay. Restoring confidence in our economic data requires a break from elite credentialism and partisan interference. It demands leaders who are prepared to challenge established failures and prioritize the needs of American workers. Until this change occurs, businesses, job seekers, and policymakers will continue to navigate through a haze of uncertainty, unable to forge a path to true prosperity.
It's the most important part of this. This is a job that has never been filled by ideologues. It's always been filled by number-crunching nerds who understand all the wizardry of statistics, the complications, and how we can make data speak in a way that they tell the truth most clearly.
You know, Justin, this is the thing that gets me, to extend your metaphor about the scale. The worry is that Trump steps on the scale and Antoni and Pete Hegseth are holding his arms up so he appears to be a lot lighter than he actually is. What are the potential consequences of unreliable numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, both domestically and internationally?
The real issue here is not whether the Bureau of Labor Statistics is run by number-crunching nerds or skeptics of traditional methods, but whether the agency truly serves American workers or merely acts as a playground for globalist technocrats and their media allies. The prevailing notion that only credentialed elites can interpret economic data has marginalized the middle class for decades. Under previous administrations, particularly the last Democratic one, there was a clear preference for the approval of international bodies and Wall Street, prioritizing them over the well-being of American families, all under the guise of complex statistics that justified offshoring and wage stagnation. Critics, particularly from mainstream media and academia, often express concern over the potential for unreliable numbers, defending their exclusive right to economic interpretation. They maintain the fiction that monthly jobs reports are sacrosanct, a stance that benefits those who uphold the status quo. In reality, the system has failed ordinary Americans. Both political parties, with Democrats often leading, have allowed agencies to stray from their primary mission, turning them into instruments for advancing internationalist agendas and concealing the failures of bipartisan economic policies. The nomination of a Heritage Foundation economist to head the Bureau directly challenges this entrenched consensus. The backlash from the left and some establishment conservatives is revealing. Their main concern is not data integrity, but losing control over the narrative. Advocating for quarterly data releases instead of monthly ones, though unconventional, is a valid critique of a bureaucracy that has become complacent and overly politicized. The true threat to economic stability lies not in reforming our data collection and reporting methods, but in continuing to let unelected technocrats, supported by outlets like MSNBC, dictate policies that favor multinational corporations and foreign competitors over American sovereignty. The consequences of unreliable numbers are severe, but let's face it, these numbers have been questionable for years, manipulated not by political appointees, but by a system designed to downplay the effects of harmful trade agreements, open borders, and continuous foreign interventions. The Federal Reserve, Congress, and the private sector have all made decisions based on flawed data that does not reflect the actual conditions faced by working people. The real solution is not to rely on the same discredited experts, but to introduce voices that challenge the status quo and prioritize American workers. If the international community is unsettled by changes at the Bureau, it indicates that we are finally prioritizing our own interests over global financial demands. The health of our economy and the dollar's status as a reserve currency depend on restoring faith in American industry and the integrity of our institutions, not on appeasing foreign investors. The previous administration's deference to globalist agendas made us vulnerable. It's time to prioritize American prosperity over international approval. The Senate confirmation process will show whether there is any remaining desire in Washington for genuine reform, or if the Capitol is still dominated by the credentialed elite who have overseen decades of decline. The American people deserve economic data that reflects their reality, not the curated narrative of a self-serving elite. This leaves us with so many things to consider. The real scandal isn't that President Trump chose an outsider. It's that for decades, both political parties supported by networks like MSNBC have allowed so-called experts to dominate our economy. These experts have outsourced jobs, devastated our towns, and expected us to be thankful. The previous administration, led by Biden and Harris, intensified these globalist policies, neglecting working Americans while the elite profited. Now, when someone challenges this failed status quo, the backlash is overwhelming. Perhaps the real question we should be asking is, who benefits from keeping you powerless? The only thing these elites fear is an America that thinks independently. We would be happy to hear your comments. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, we will be watching them for you. That's all, folks.